Hi Year 1, it's Miss Buckley here. I'm going to be talking through your maths home learning for this week. This video is slightly different, so it's to help remind you some of the things that you've been doing in maths in school, but it's also to give whoever's at home, so mum, dad, grandma, granddad, or whoever looks after you at home, to give them a little bit of help as well. So this week in maths we're going to be looking at place value, and we're going to be looking at numbers from 0 all the way up to 100. Now, the start of each day on the PowerPoint, which is on the website, you'll see the day and you'll see the theme of the lesson. And there's also, it will say notes for parents. So there's some ideas there or some notes to help. So I say parents, but it might be carers, it might be your siblings, whoever's helping you do your maths work at home. The work that you're doing at home is very, very similar to the work that your friends are doing if they are back at school. So you might also see that it says notes for teachers. So ignore that bit and just look at the bit that says notes for parents. Parents or carers, whoever's at home, if you do have any questions or if you need a bit more guidance or help, please feel free to email your child's class teacher. And you'll find their email address at the top of the web page. So if you click on the Year 1 hot air balloon, then there'll be a message saying welcome to term 6, and within that message you'll see each class and the teacher's email address. So an example of how we use and how we represent numbers in Year 1. So we say the numbers, for example 63. We write as a number or as a numeral, so in 63 you'd write 6 and a 3. The 6 would represent 60 and 6 tens, the 3 would represent 3 ones. We write numbers as words. Some numbers are really tricky to write, so we would, of course, as we do in English, encourage children to sound them out. And we talk about representing numbers, and we do this with actual concrete things. So resources, apparatus, and we represent numbers by drawing pictures as well, but I'll come on to that in a little bit. One of the main ways we represent numbers in school, and you'll see this on the PowerPoint, is using base 10. So as you can see, we would make numbers up using ones, so the little cubes would represent 1, so if you wanted to show the number 5, you would count out 5 of those small cubes. The rectangle bits would represent tens, and you can see that there are 10 cubes stuck together in theory to make that one block. So if you wanted to show the number 30, you would take 3 of those tens blocks, and you wouldn't count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all the way to 30. You would count 10, 20, 30, as each block is representing 10. And then you can see also we've represented the 100, and that is 10 of the tens blocks all stuck together. And again, you wouldn't count that 10, 20, 30, you would count that as one unit, so 100. Now the children who are in school will be using base 10 to represent their numbers. However, it's probably unlikely that at home you will have this. So you can do things such as so to represent the 10, you could get 10 plastic straws, you could get 10 sticks from outside, 10 pieces of plastic cutlery, anything that you've got 10 of, and wrap them together either with an elastic band or a hairband, and that could be the equivalent to your base 10 piece. To show the ones, you just need single things. So if you've got any board games, you could use counters, you could use 1p coins, you could use bits of blue tack made into little blobs. So anything you might have at home to help the children represent their numbers using tens and ones. So this would show the number 21. So we've got a 10 and a 10, so we say 10, 20, and we've also got the 1. We can also represent numbers using pictures. So here is a representation of how the children in school would draw 21. So they would draw their base 10. When the children at home are representing their numbers, they might like to draw the base 10, so the rectangles and the squares, because this is what they are familiar with. If, however, you're using, say, the straw bundles and the counters, like I was just showing on the previous slide, and children want to draw those to represent their numbers, that is absolutely fine. So again, this would be a pictorial representation of 21. Also this week, we're going to be looking at the hundredth square, so finding numbers using the hundredth square. Children in school will have a printout of this. Children at home, if you've got a printer that's got ink in it, then it'd be great if you could print one out. But if not, just look at it on the computer screen, that's absolutely fine. Parents, carers, whoever's at home, when children are finding numbers on the hundredth square, try to discourage them from counting from 1 to find the number. So for example, if they were finding the number 29, try to discourage them from going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way to 29. Get children to use their place value knowledge, so they know that 29 is made up of 2 10s and 9 1s. So they can look along the row where there are 2 10s and go along to find 29. In maths in school, we do a lot of talking, so we try and encourage children to talk about their mathematical thinking using sentences, and we give a lot of sentence stems with blank bits or the lines for the missing parts that children fill in. So for example, if we were representing 21 in a sentence, we would say there are 2 10s and 1 1. The number is 21. So on the slides, if you see any of these sentence stems, encourage children to read the whole sentence. They might need a bit of help reading some of the words, and then they're filling in the missing numerals on the lines. When we are looking at place value, we would always look at the tens first. So in the number 21, for example, we would look that there are 2 10s and 1 1. If you see that your child at home is getting muddled and saying 12 instead of 21, or 34 instead of 43, it may be that they're getting the 10s and the 1s muddled up. So they're looking at the 1s first, but saying those in the 10s place, if that makes sense. So if you find any of those reversals or any of those muddles, just encourage children